Imagine a devoted father and mentor who spends his days working with autistic youth. On a cool October evening, he finds a batch of specialty cookies online, the same ones he loved growing up in New York, and decides to drive over to a friend's house just to share them with their children. It is an act of simple kindness. He pulls into the driveway, completely unaware that within moments, gunfire will erupt, ending his life before he ever reaches the front door. Nearly a decade later, investigators are still searching for answers. Was Antoine Troublefield the intended target? Or was he an innocent man caught in someone else's violence? Good evening, I'm Marcus Hayes, and tonight on Case Files After Dark, we're uncovering a tragic cold case from Durham, North Carolina, one that left a family devastated and investigators searching for answers that have remained elusive for years. This is the unsolved 2016 murder of Antoine Troublefield. To understand the tragedy of this case, we first have to understand the man at its center. Antoine Bernard Troublefield was 33 years old in the fall of 2016. Originally from New York, he had built a meaningful life in North Carolina and was living in Chapel Hill. Professionally, Antoine worked with autistic youth in Cary, dedicating his career to helping children and young adults reach their potential. Friends and family also described him as a mentor, someone who naturally encouraged young people to make positive choices. Above all else, he was a devoted father to his 8-year-old son. After losing his mother at just 11 years old, Antoine was raised by his aunt, Linda Jeffries Hunter. She remembered him as someone whose kindness left a lasting impact on everyone fortunate enough to know him. On the evening of Tuesday, October 18, 2016, Antoine was excited about something small but meaningful. He had recently found a website selling the same specialty cookies he loved growing up in New York. Rather than keeping them for himself, he decided to share them with a friend's children. He packed the cookies into his car and made the short drive from Chapel Hill to the 3,600 block of Wiggins Street in Durham. What should have been an ordinary visit with friends would instead become one of Durham's most heartbreaking, unsolved homicides. It was shortly before 9:15 that evening when Antoine arrived outside the apartment complex. As he made his way toward the residence, the quiet neighborhood was suddenly interrupted by gunfire. Multiple shots rang out, striking Antoine before he could reach safety. Neighbors immediately called 911 as chaos unfolded outside the apartment complex. Durham police officers and emergency responders rushed to the scene. Despite their efforts, Antoine died from his injuries. The person or people responsible fled before officers arrived, leaving behind a crime scene filled with questions, but very few answers. For Antoine's family, what began as a simple act of kindness had ended in unimaginable tragedy. Detectives immediately launched a homicide investigation. As they learned more about Antoine's life, one detail became increasingly clear. Investigators found no evidence connecting him to gang activity, criminal organizations, or ongoing disputes. By every account, Antoine was a hard-working father, mentor, and care provider who had traveled to Durham simply to visit friends. That left detectives facing one difficult question. Why Antoine? Over the years, investigators have considered several possibilities, including whether he may have been mistaken for someone else, or whether he became an innocent victim of violence that had nothing to do with him. Authorities have never publicly identified a motive or announced an arrest. In 2019, Durham police renewed their appeal for information, standing alongside members of Antoine's family and acknowledging publicly that the investigation had reached a difficult point. Even so, detectives emphasized that they believe someone still knows what happened that night. For nearly a decade, they have continued asking anyone with information, no matter how small, to come forward. Time has continued moving forward. For Antoine's son, the little boy who lost his father that October night, has grown into a young man without the guidance of the person who loved him most. For Antoine's sister and aunt, the questions have never stopped. Why did this happen? Who pulled the trigger? And why has no one come forward? The Durham Police Department continues to keep Antoine's case active, hoping that one new witness or one long-hidden piece of information will finally provide the breakthrough this family has waited years to receive. Antoine Troublefield dedicated his life to helping others. He spent his days supporting children with autism, mentoring young people, and being the kind of father every child deserves. On the night he was killed, he wasn't looking for trouble. He was simply delivering cookies to children. If you or anyone you know has information regarding the October 18, 2016 homicide on the 3600 block of Wiggins Street in Durham, please contact the Durham Police Department at 919-560-4427 or Durham Crime Stoppers at 9196-831200. Someone knows what happened that night. The question is, how much longer will they remain silent? What do you think happened that October evening? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm Marcus Hayes, and this is Case Files After Dark. Stay safe out there, North Carolina.